Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to kind of tell you about a scary dream that I had last night, and I wanted to go into detail with you about it. It was incredibly lucid. I remember very many details, at least 85% of them, and I wanted to kind of go in depth as to why I record all of my dreams. It wasn't so much like a nightmare, but literally a story being told outright. It was me as a main character, and I was like really uncomfortable to say the least. Just try to imagine a very rainy day. It is thundering, dark clouds, and between the white clouds you don't see the sun, but it's still fairly bright. I was walking along in a wooded area before I found this small house with 2 stories and a large deck on the 2nd floor. So when you see the house, you literally see the first story is up here, is where your living room and kitchen, maybe bedrooms would be, and then you have the bottom floor, which is down where the garage would be, where the basement is maybe, and then in between there's a deck. And as you approached the deck, it's wet from all the rain. You can see this boy standing on the deck. The boy that's standing on the deck is kind of wearing a raincoat. It was more like a yellow yet see-through kind of raincoat. And he was holding something in his hand and letting it fall to the floor, and then catching more of it and letting it fall to the floor. I was walking along this kind of forest area and a hill. So if you can imagine going down straight, and on this side there are like forest, and then there's forest here, but you can also see the house that I described. And then you turn that viewpoint here where you're now on top of the hill, and you can see the house with the deck and the boy standing. I think you facing here, he would be standing here on the deck. But for me, when he was standing on the deck, I could see him again pouring something out of his hand, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. Except for some reason in my mind, it was screaming like lithium. But I know lithium doesn't look that way, and when you got closer it looked more like mercury, kind of what thermometers. He was holding it and pouring it out. I knew then and there, because logic has set in, that I was dreaming, because I know you can't handle mercury, it's very poisonous. But as I got closer to him, I kept feeling this really ominous kind of feeling, like not evil per se, but definitely uncomfortable, unhinged, disordered, disruptive, something, I don't know, just something to make you kind of uncomfortable. With his little face, he looked to be like no older than 6. He had brown hair. He was a little pale white boy. He had brown bangs that covered his forehead, and he just had this sense of like being super angry for no reason. At least if he had a reason, I didn't know it. It just, that's the ominous feeling I felt radiating off of him in this really stormy weather. And he just kind of looked at you with his eyebrows down, and he's just looking at you up and again, holding this metallic kind of like ooze in his hand, palm up like this. And when you got closer, you could clearly see the palm, and it just spread out onto his palm like this. I somehow then found myself on this deck next to him. I was in front of him, and because you could see it on here, then my view jumped back to where it's seen both his face and the metallic substance in his palm. Then out of nowhere he went like this and clasped his palm and then started rolling it up until literally he had a bead of the lithium mercury kind of substance, and it was a hard bead. It turned into a solid. And then out of the side of his coat pocket, he's literally just, he grabs out this gun with a fairly long barrel, but small enough to fit into a 6-year-old's hand. And then he flicked it open and put the bullet into it and clicked it closed. And then he aimed it at me, and out of nowhere it just hit me. I felt myself just jump back and hit the deck and fall over. And when I looked up, he was looking at me. The gun had been fired, and with it being cold outside due to the rain, it was like radiating steam. And then he put it away, but he turned around and immediately went inside. And from what I heard, I assumed it was his mother. And his mother was yelling for him. I couldn't hear a name, and I didn't hear any particular words other than like, get in here right now, and she's just screaming at him. But then it's like blood-curdling scream. She's just screaming hysterically as if she's in pain and she's being slashed. You can hear a cutting sound, kind of like in the movies when you hear ch ch ch. It's just a terrible sound effect, and I don't know why, but that's what I was hearing. And then I roll over on the deck, and from the deck it has these negative space where you can see out and into the gravel where the road is, and you see this old rickety car coming up and pull around and pull into the driveway. So then you hear a door slam and you hear this man get out with really heavy thuds to his feet, and he's over here drunk and angry in a way, and I'm assuming that's the father as well. And he goes inside and you hear the door slam. Then you hear her scream even louder, and she's like, "No, don't you hurt us too, don't do it." And he's screaming at her and being angry. And all this while you never hear the little boy. He never makes a sound. At least I don't think. You know, it's hours now that I'm recalling the stream. I swore that he was saying things to me, but I couldn't place where it was coming from, you know. But anyway, the father goes inside and you hear blood-curdling screaming and then silence. And then somehow I fall through a trapdoor in this deck and I hit the gravel below, and I'm using my arm to get under a bush to kind of get to safety. And again, you hear more screaming and then silence. And I'm not sure if it's from the mom or the dad or even the little boy. But next thing I know, I'm being pushed back, I'm standing, I'm fine, I'm on this hill. And I look over and the boy is standing on the deck again. And he's got his hands like this. It's now raining again. And his hands are like this, and you just see the puddle in his hands growing more and more, and it's metallic. And it just keeps growing. And then he lets it fall to the floor, and you hear it splatter, even though it's too far to really hear anything. And then it keeps collecting. But you get such an ominous feeling that it's almost like he's sending the message, don't come here. Don't be near here. Whatever you do, don't come here. Yeah, I don't know. It woke me up at like 3 in the morning. I want to say that's mostly what I can remember. I want to say that somebody else was with me, whether it be a friend or my fiance or somebody. I want to say that there was someone with me, but for the life of me, I can't remember right now. When I was writing down my dream to try and remember it, it was already 3 hours after the fact, and it got me out of a stupor, but I just couldn't get past some of those elements, like the lithium mercury substance in his hand. I don't know what that was about. The wet deck and the screams. I don't understand why it was. And at the same time, I feel like I'm recalling it wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you know something else was going on. It was too much detail, and yet at the same time, I can't remember anything past that. This journal holds dreams that I've had 4 to 6 times a week ever since August of 2017. And it's getting pretty full. I'm about 2/3 of the way done with it. Like, many people write dream journals, I think, but as far as I know, I'm like the only one out of my friends group who actually, you know, uses a physical journal to write my dreams down, like, almost religiously. Nearly every night, it's ritual that an hour after I wake up and I've gathered a cup of coffee, I immediately start writing everything down. And they say you should write it down as soon as you wake up to remember the most, but I have a pretty good streak of trying to remember everything and getting it down and not losing too much detail. I write my dreams for many reasons. One of them being it's great art material. So I really want to take some elements out of my dreams and put them into working paintings. I've got this like entire catalog of things I want to paint, and I'm planning on making it a series. So if you would like to see any kind of like paintings having to do with like my dream symbolisms, give me a thumbs up and tell me if you'd like to see that. I'd really love to know. Second, this helps give me insight on my day-to-day life. And for instance, during the last few weeks of my job, before I decided to quit, I was having a lot of stress. I was going through so much trouble and freaking out that I was losing sleep, and then I started getting a lot of nightmares because of it. And like a lot of the dreams I was getting was about being bitten in the face by snakes, or being bitten by snakes in general. However, it's not just about a snake biting me. It's a snake is biting me for a reason. and I break down these symbols in my dream to kind of give me a jump start as to what I can do in real life to kind of move past that. In a way, the snake that bit me, I wasn't afraid of it when I was handling it. In real life, I love snakes. I think they're adorable and are a primary source of fear. I know some close friends that would rather the whole world be without snakes, and that's fine. But for me, I like them. So in the dream, for a snake to really launch at me and bite me is kind of like an eye-opener. In an almost anthropomorphic kind of way, the snake slendered itself out and rose up and launched at me and bit me right in the face this way, and hitting both my eyes and my cheek, because I could feel the sting and the pressure and the shock go through my face and down. And it was very, very painful, like insanely painful. I can't get past how painful this was. I woke up from it. That's how painful it was. And I was like cringing when I woke up. I'm like, ah, my face, ah, my neck, my face and my neck. You know, it was just terrible. So scary enough of a scenery, I know, as it is to be bitten by a snake, let alone being bit in the face. I tried to get some very specific details out of my dream, such as the snake itself, the position that the snake was in while I was handling it, being bitten, and where I was being bitten at. I described those things, but really each of those things meant something. And again, while not all dreams may mean anything, these specific ones really did mean something for me. So I'm going to reference two of my favorite books. They're dream dictionaries that I got from Barnes & Noble. So I'm going to compare the snake definition between both of these books. The first book is A Dictionary of Dream Symbols with an Introduction to Dream Psychology by Eric Ackroyd. Super cheap, only $10, literally. And then the second one is The Complete A to Z Dictionary of Dreams, Be Your Own Dream Expert by Ian Wallace. It kind of goes into a depth of how to take these dreams and kind of back out of it and give yourself the guidance that you need to walk through them. So the first one, by Ackroyd, I will go to snake. And while they have a variety of snake definitions, I'll just read two of them. A snake may symbolize a source of evil, such as in Jewish Christian scriptures, the serpent is a form of the devil. Being on the Bible Belt, everyone here kind of gets that symbolism. But at the fourth meaning of this, the snake is guarding something. So if the latter may symbolize either your true self or your total self, or something you need for the next stage of personal development. That particular one spoke to me because it meant to have a snake that you're handling, your hands on, and you need to do something about your job, because I was handling the snake at work in my dream. Then if you go over to the Wallace version and you go over to the snakes, there are a couple of different ones, whether it be snake or snake charmer, but I'm just going to go with snake. The snake is described as instinctive ability to discard a self-image that is no longer useful to me, so I can heal any hurt and transform my situation. So again, it's still about me, and I need to change in order to get a different result. As they say, insanity is trying to repeat the same action, hoping for a different outcome. And at work, that's what I was doing. I was doing the same thing over and over and over again, trying to get past the stress of work, and it's not working out. So in my dream, it's trying to tell me, you need to do something different. Get the heck out. I want to break down why I was being bit. So we'll go back to the Ackroyd version of being bit. Biting is a symbol of aggressiveness. If you're the one doing the biting and it feels good, the dream may be expressing anger that arises out of repression. Except I'm not biting anybody, and I don't think I've bitten anyone in my dream for a while. I have done that before, but it's not for this time around. Instead, the second one applies to me a little better. If you're being bitten, what's biting you? The snake. What is bothering you in your life, or what is the inner problem that you need to resolve? I need to leave. That's really the bottom line of that. Bear in mind that everything in my dream is usually an aspect of yourself. Therefore, both what is biting you and what is being bitten need to both be identified and reconciled. In other words, the biting means there's some inner conflict, which will usually be between your conscious ego and something in your unconscious. Which again, my brain is trying to tell me, like, hey, you're in a dangerous situation, it's toxic, you're aware of it, And you need to stop fighting that. You need to just accept that it's toxic and go away. You can have other opportunities. But then we're going to go back to the Wallace version and go back to what he says about biting. I like the fact that he has bite, biting snake, and being bitten. For bite, essential ability to use my power and confidence to take an incisive action so I can begin to fulfill one of my potential ambitions. In hindsight, I would say that's me trying to start my YouTube channel or trying something artistic. I need to create something every day to kind of be true to myself. Second, biting snake. Opportunity to be more confident so I can transform my self-image instead of trying to hang on to painful experiences from the past. Which again, it was the most painful thing to my emotional state and my mental state because it was just toxic to be around. Every day I would try something new and I would explain to myself, I'm not crazy, it's really not me, but everything else was trying to tell me that it was. And it was just so hard to get out of that with having the support system to go through with it. And then bitten. Realization that I can use my strength and power to incisively resolve a challenge instead of always just chewing it over. Which, again, what an eye-opener. I was trying something new, or trying something every day, hoping for a different outcome, and it wasn't happening. I needed to take the leap of faith to get out of that situation and to stop coming back to it. I went back to that job twice. That could tell you a lot. I tried really hard because I really loved the job, but the 5% that I loved, 95% of the stress just wasn't worth it, and I needed to remove myself entirely from it, and that can be so hard for people to do.
While I was trying to do my little video of my dream, Molly decided to go underneath my chair and take a little snooze herself. Look at her little nose. It's so cute. My baby.
Hi guys! That was Nightmares and Interpretation Part 1. I had so much to edit that I had to split this up into 2 parts. So if you liked what you saw, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Hit the notification button as well as the little bell beside it so you know instantly the next time that I upload. I usually upload every Tuesday and Friday. Do you happen to have any dreams that you're curious about? Maybe reoccurring themes or nightmares that you're not sure what they might mean? Comment them in the section below. I would love to hear about them. Or if you prefer to send me full-length dreams, you can email me here. I hope you all have a great night. Hopefully no more nightmares tonight. So I will see you next time that I upload. Thanks again.